Invitation and revelation. Looking over the many years that I have been working on the hieroglyph of the human soul, which I celebrated a few days ago on 9/11, its 23rd birthday. And I think that we can be most helpful by sharing the things we've learned rather than imposing things we think others ought to learn that we've never actually experienced. And the question for me has always been, well, if we know the better, or we can move toward that which is more nourishing, more hopeful, why don't we? Why do we create allegiances with what we fear? Why do we forget ourselves so often and fall into a rage? This is our human condition. It's not personal. It's a bit like a quality of consciousness that is always asking us to be vigilant. Like the ocean, if you were going across in a boat, you'd realize, no, there are currents. It's always going to be different, so I can't expect it to be the same. And if I had that attitude, I wouldn't be afraid of the next wave. I wouldn't be afraid of that which I had to navigate. But if I was trying to stop that, I'd become very fearful. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even want to venture out on the water after a while. And this is the invitation that I found, because when I started all this was just a regular room. There was nothing painted. It was a linoleum floor. There was nothing here. And I realize now that what I was offered was an invitation. Because, like so many of us, when I was much younger, I realized the futility of being against the world or angry at the world. I learned this as an actor, that if you're angry as an actor because somebody else got the job, or you gave such a great performance and nobody cared, you begin to grow a type of body of resentment. And that body of resentment then is triggered every time something that feeds into that body is accepted as valuable or true. And that's why my question became, where can we actually deal with the questions of what do I pay attention to? What do I cultivate? And if there is an invitation, where is this invitation? And on a very simple level, I realized that if this were a plot of dirt, the invitation of the soil is to grow something. Nothing's there, but there's an invitation in the soil that if I have a relationship with it, it will cultivate. And that's what we see with the art here. This is not done for me. It wasn't done by someone else. It was done through this hand, through this heart, and with this breath, because it was that important to me. I wasn't trying to get rid of anything, but I realized that the invitation of who we are, the part that's missing, is where we live, what we honor, and who we love. Because essentially everything that keeps us pliable and obedient to outward authority are the things that keep us afraid. That keep us afraid of closing our own door and saying, at least here, this matters to me. This invitation to my own humanity, why aren't I beginning it with where I live and who I love? And so the passion here, the art here, the creation here, is an alchemical, a type of transmutive force. That if we think about music, when we take our anguish and we turn it into passionate music, we turn it into the blues. We sing not to despoil ourselves, but to actually honor ourselves. And I feel that the whole process of the work element here, because this was not done and it's not following something that's predetermined, I have no idea where it's going. It is like liquid music. It's flowing out of my hand. But I also realize that the key of the revelation here is about context and about invitation. The invitation we are at now as consciousness, because the arts always help us understand that. It's not the artist that really is important. We realize that all that is about our deeper psyche has to do with the reflection in the arts. And in a world that has neglected the arts and turned it into a type of commodification of you are, as an artist, if you are effectively successful financially from it, rather than an artist of consciousness, which is the invitation was not to sell this to others, but the invitation was to take one's home and say, at least here, let me take this outer madness and transmute it into something hopefully more beautiful, because that's what I long to have shared with me. So why wouldn't I long to share that with others? And this is the revelation, I believe now, of the 23 years of the hieroglyph, of the human soul. Very important words, human soul. Things that we have been essentially convinced don't matter. aren't real, or someone else's illusion? Well, if we begin to understand that what you honor or what you dishonor honors or dishonors you, and if we bring in the toxicity of the world into the invitation of who and what we are missing the point of this moment historically. The world is upon us. Everything is overwhelming. The distractions are enormous. So everyone will not be listening to this. But if you are listening to this, it is very important that you begin to study where you can close the door, where you feel safe, because the resetting of the world will not happen in the outer world. It will happen within the agreement within the individual. And this is my proof. Art is no longer a concept here. The environment here is no longer conceptual. It's manifested. And it's manifested as a multidimensional 3D environment of consciousness within intimate space, the home. And this is telling us that the last key to who and what we are as human is not what's wrong with the neighbor, but how do I find the revelation within where I live? And it's not that we're all artists or anyone is meant to do this, because I'm more surprised than anyone that this has flowed out of me, but I think it comes from that passion. If we don't find a way home, if we don't begin to cultivate an etiquette that says, come on kids, quit fighting, wash your hands, let's sit down and have a dinner and something that nourishes us, you know what, we'll leave this conversation feeling healthy. And we'll remember that we love each other and that life isn't that long. And that we're so sad that we keep learning over and over again, people saying, it was over like that. Well, it is over like that. And if that's the truth, then why are we, in a sense, allowing ourselves to attach ourselves to the train of fear? We are all going to die. So it's not to escape that. Once you recognize that fact, that you are like a book in the library, a beginning, a middle, and an end, then it is up to us to say, what invitation am I responding to? Where is this invitation coming from? My heart or my fear? And here I say, we are always afraid. So it's not about doing away with that. It's about navigating that and deciding as human beings, where I live matters most. What I love matters most. Let me grow from this seed because I'll begin to see the world not as something I'm against, but a storm that I might have to navigate, but it doesn't define me. What defines me is the possibility that where I live, who I am, and I'm not speaking the small I, I'm speaking a universal I. As we human beings begin to realize that we've always been trying to escape our condition, and we can't. So the invitation was never to leave, but to finally say, if I can, I will transmute the agony. Not for others, because I realize it's not about others. The whole world lives within myself and within you. We are holographic, we are whole and holy. And therefore the decisions we make intimately affect not simply ourselves, but the whole and holy weave of what it means to be human. And that's the revelation here, the return home to ancestral ground, to lands where we stand together saying we've never gotten out of this difficulty. We've never found a way to silence the fight. But in every age, in every time, there's always been those that said, let us take the chaos and not be defined by it, but see if there might be a revelation in it that allows us to see life more as an invitation than a curse. Because remember, you are invited.